So, what does it actually really mean to be made in the image of God? Stay tuned because you're going to want to hear this one. It's good. Welcome back. My name is Angie, and I am your soul alignment mentor. And I bring intuitive messages to those who are working on ascending into their highest frequency with New Earth and the spiritual awakening. And I also hold a women's circle twice monthly. If you are interested in joining, I would love to invite you to come and join us. And if you are seeking one-on-one healing, I also provide that. Currently have a few openings, so reach out if you would like to work with me. So, in this particular episode, I want to share a little bit about some things my spirit team has been teaching me and telling me about the image of God and how we are made in the image of God. And if you've been following me for a while now, you know that I spent quite a bit of time in religion and studying the Bible and really seeking the truth when I was in that setting. I still have times where my spirit team will guide me towards biblical references to help me explain things a little bit more clearly to those who might still be needing something on that frequency level to comprehend. And I do find that a lot of the teachings of Jesus or Buddha or the master teachers that were on the earth thousands of years ago really did have a great way of explaining to the people around them how to connect with this part of their true and highest self. And so I take these references of what they have taught and then work with my spirit team to bring it into more of a modern day understanding for us to comprehend as we are working on spiritual alignment, growth, healing, and journeying into new earth energy. One of the things that they have been speaking to me quite a bit recently is the image of God and how we are created in the image of God. Now, if you know anything about biblical references, there is a verse that says that we are created in the image of God. And this verse is in Genesis, which is the first Bible book in the Bible. So when I was a Christian and I heard this, I had a hard time really comprehending what does it mean to be made in the image of God. And the way that it kind of was portrayed to me, or the perception that was built around the religious community, was that the image of God was a man in the sky, possibly an older man with a beard, is what I would picture, that would sit on a throne and judge the world. And that he sent his son Jesus to be a catalyst or a buffer between him and humanity. And Jesus was the one that made us worthy of being able to have contact with God, or even to have, go to heaven in some aspect. And so during my years in religion, I had this understanding and this belief that I had to be good enough, or I had to obey God, or I had to do good things to be in the energy of who God is, because there was this almost underlining fear that if you did anything outside of God's will, that you would have a punishment, or things would not go well for you. And many times when there were like negative things happening in my life, or consequences or things, I always forked it up to the fact that I had done something wrong, or I was in sin in some aspect. And so I was constantly trying to clear myself of sin and be good enough to deserve God's love. Now, there was also a concept of Jesus dying on the cross created that for me. And I didn't need to have atonement, and I didn't need to do anything else to earn God's love besides accept Jesus as my savior. But there was still this underlining fear that was created because those in the church were fearful that there's a Satan out there attempting to take us away from God, attempting to move us away from the truth, basically. And that at some point there would be this big rapture, and those who were obeying God and doing the right thing would be able to go, and those who were not would be left behind. Now, that's a whole nother topic, and I do want to talk about that sometime based on New Earth energy, and I've kind of already done some teachings about that already, but that is an interesting way to take biblical references and correlate them to what is happening now, because it makes a lot of sense when you are able to do that. But for today, for the purpose of this teaching on the image of God, the way my spirit team has been teaching me this to help you is in the modern day concept of a selfie. So most of us, almost everybody, I'm sure, that has a cell phone at one point has taken a selfie. And so we pull the phone up and we take a picture of ourselves. And if we're really brave and we really want to do something with this, we'll either put it on our Facebook or we'll send this out. But for the purpose of this teaching, I'm going to say that we're just going to take a selfie and send it to people. So if I were to take a selfie of myself right now with my phone and I send it to 5 of the closest people in my life, family, friends, coworkers, whoever that might be in my life, when they receive this image, it is going to be the exact same image for everybody. Everybody is going to have the same image of me in their phone. But here's the interesting thing. Everybody's going to have a different perspective of what they see based on their perception and who they believe that I am. So one person who might not like me so much might have one perception of like, why did she send that? I don't want to see that picture of her. Ooh, or like have these judgment thoughts come up. Another person that loves me, say my mom, she might be like, oh, she's so beautiful. I love my beautiful daughter. And she'll probably want to post it all over Facebook. Then a best friend might get it and be like, oh my gosh, I love her. She looks so cute today, whatever. Or he's handsome, whatever might come up. They're all going to have a different perception of you based on the relationship that you have with them and they with you. And here's what's really interesting is if source energy were to take a selfie and send it to the earth, we are its selfie. We are the image of God because source energy created all things. Therefore, all things are the image of God. And so when we use this concept of our own true self, of our spirit self, we are a direct reflection of the divine energy of God. We are the direct reflection of source. However, we're a different perspective based on the frequency that we live in. Because we live in 3D, our frequency and our understanding as a lower concept than it would be in a 5D, 6D, 7D, wherever we are based on our perception of frequency in our spirit. Because we are in a human form in this time, because we are living in a veil, basically the veil that has been created through humanity's understanding and perception, we cannot see this as clearly as we are moving into with the global awakening. As we shift currently in 4D, kind of in a holding place, in a void where we haven't fully embraced 5D energy, but we're not in 3D anymore, where we're feeling repressed and we're just not awakened at all. We are awakened into this 4D energy and we're waiting to be in another frequency where more clarity comes. Right now, it feels a little bit frustrating in some ways because We have a concept of who we are and what we are meant to do and where we're supposed to go, but we haven't quite got there. And we're going that direction, but we have to give ourselves time to acclimate and to move into this next frequency, because the next frequency is going to open this concept even more, where we're going to begin to understand even more that we are the image of God, that we are the direct reflection of God, along with everything and everyone around us. So here's where the concept of as above, so below comes in. And the concept of as within, so without, because everything is a reflection of you and you are a reflection of it. And that's why your perception, what you portray outward, is often an attempt to portray something back to you. So if I were critical or judgmental of another person based on things they struggled with or things I saw in them that caused me to be irritated or might even be upset by this, I would have to take a really good look at myself, because usually the things you see in somebody else are the things that you also struggle with. And so we tend to find other people at our same frequency level based on our current perception and view of ourselves. And this is why it's so interesting as people awaken, as they heal, as they ascend into new frequencies, that they begin to see people leaving their lives. Because as your perception changes, the way that you reflect into the world, you start bringing new things to reflect back to you, because that's how we grow, based on the reflection around us. And the things that we have already learned, the reflection and perceptions that we've had in the past, no longer resonate with us, because we're in a different frequency and we're moving into a higher frequency. Now, it doesn't mean that those things were bad or negative or any way not a positive part of your life. They absolutely were, because they were what used the energy to help you bring you to the current point. Now, what happens is you become more aware of how your perception of what you reflect into the world around you begins to reflect back to you. And this allows you to find the parts that still need to be released and the positive parts of yourself. Because when you see things that are good in other people, you usually have those same things. And this is why it's also encouraged to spend time with people who are a little bit more advanced to you or have grown in ways that you wish to grow, because their frequency will help you rise up. As long as you're not fighting against it, and as long as you're not pulling in lower vibrations of jealousy, envy, or judgments to those higher frequencies, those frequencies will help pull you into the next energy of where you're meant to go. And this is where it gets hard, because you're in the void. You're in the middle where you no longer fit into where you once were, but you're not quite into that next season. But this is why it's so important to be still. It's so important to be in the now moment, because this is how you move to next frequencies. We don't force it. We allow it to happen. Now, as within, so without, that perception and reflection is constantly changing. Everything outside of you is always reflecting back to bring you back to self, to help self grow. And this is where the concept of as above, so below comes in. Our desire and our spirit is to constantly be growing in the as above. We're constantly working towards remembering who we really are, based on our spirit's calling, based on our spirit's decision and choice to be on earth, because our spirit made the choice to be here for the purpose of expansion and growth. And that expansion and growth first starts with us, then reflects out. And whether we believe it or not, we are impacting the entire universe by our growth and reflection and releasing old frequencies. Because the contrast that happens within allows everything outside to expand. And this is what it means to be in the image of God. that you are a direct source reflection of God in a different perspective, a different energy, and a different image, because everybody sees things differently. The perception and the understanding of it is going to be based on the way it is reflected outward and then back. So when we look at ourselves as a reflection of God, we're going to see ourselves based on the perception of what we have developed on the outside of ourselves, by the teachings that we were taught growing up, by the beliefs we were taught growing up, by the events or traumas that we experience growing up, has created our current perception and reality. And as we release those old things, as we heal, as we step into new abundant energy and frequencies, we begin to let go of the old perceptions. And this is when we open up to new ones, and they allow us to expand and grow. And the more you do that, the more you reflect the image of God, because God is love. And the more you reflect love, the more you reflect that into the world, and the more it comes back to you. Everything is energy. Everything is working as one energy. So when I have the concept of as above, so below, I am the selfie image of God. I can look out around those around me and I can see God in them as well. I can see spirit in them as well, even in their flaws, even in the negative qualities, even in what we would perceive as evil or unattractive. These are all image of God, just as I am. So when you come back to the frequency of love and understand this concept of as above, so below, all those battles within your mind start to release, and you come back to the energy of one. And this is where you begin to comprehend that you truly are the image of God. I hope this helps somebody. And I would love if you wanted to reach out and ask any other questions that I can talk to my spirit team about, that I can bring. I would love to bring more teachings to you that align with what you would like and what you need. And most of the time, my spirit team will give me concepts and understandings based on current realities so that we can comprehend them more. And if you would like one-on-one support, or if you're a woman looking for a circle to join, I want to invite you to come spend time with us. Until we meet again, I wish you the best day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you. I send you all the universal love. Namaste.